People should expect the real me in this, and probably the me that they've never gotten to know.
I'd rather get to know the Antichrist over cheese and biscuits.
The flip-flop culture is part of just who I am. I love my cutoffs and flip-flops and being as relaxed as can be.
Oh God.
Fiercest female character on TV.
Who do I say? Olivia Pope?
Olivia Pope.
Ha! Prince William or Prince Harry? Harry. Harry? Sure. Sure. What year was that?
October 2015.
October 2015?
Less than a year.
Before we met? Honey, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
I of course choose you.
Okay. Great. This just again shows how little you knew.
Shows how little she knew. An interview less than a year before y'all start dating. And let me explain this to you guys. There's a couple types of interviews. You can be interviewed randomly, which this was not random. Come on, give me a break. And there's two where the person interviewing you researches you and knows kind of what to ask. And number three, there is a type of interview where it's kind of prearranged. You talk beforehand and say, ask me these questions. And I very much believe these were prearranged questions that Meghan wanted to be asked. The reason is because she wanted her name next to his to start to get his attention. And we're going to see that in the future. What bothers me about this whole interview with Oprah is that they did this to kind of clear the air and defend themselves. And they start off the interview with lies.
1.4 million copies in Britain, the US, and Canada.
And this is really interesting. It looks like many people who ordered one copy from Amazon received 2 copies. Dina Cap is absolutely right, and I'm gonna prove it.
Just a lying little bitch who ruins things and wants the world to burn.
People want to know is, how much longer do we have to listen to your crap? You have a brother, right?
Yep.
And which one are you? William?
No.
Okay. Harry. Yeah, that's what I had. Yeah, so Harry, former Duke of Sussex. Why did you really leave the royal family? And was it because you're Camilla's redheaded stepchild?
Truth be known, no. Got me out of the spotlight.
Makes sense. You want to be left alone.
That's all I've ever asked for.
So then you decided to move to LA recently.
Not recently.
A few years ago, sorry. And then you signed a $100 million Netflix deal and wrote a book. So mission accomplished on staying out of the spotlight. I guess in a sense, you're still royalty though, having pretty much crowned yourself drama king. Anyway, so you wrote a new book. I ain't gonna read it. So walk me through it. What percentage of it would you say you're crying victim?
I don't know.
In the new book titled Spare, for whatever reason, you claim to have been invited to a party.
Not invited.
You were not, okay. You crashed a party at Courtney Cox's house.
Yep.
Were Phoebe and Rachel there?
No.
And you say you saw a bag of shrooms in Courtney Cox's kitchen.
Yes.
Which I'm sure she appreciates that shout out. How much of the bag did you eat?
All of it.
Okay. And how did that work out?
Not particularly well.
I imagine. Now let's fast forward about 15 years or so and you meet your wife.
Yep.
She's a stunner. Well done. Your next book should be titled From Meth Head to Meghan. You're welcome. But she's an American, which doesn't seem customary for British royalty. What drew you to her?
The fact that she was American, divorced, black.
She's hot. Let's be honest. You outkicked your coverage, am I right? I mean, she's an actress. Exactly. And you look like you went to Hogwarts.
Unfortunately, every single story was complete lies, which rarely, well, which it always is, basically, which is a shame. But, you know, it's something I'd love to do, and, you know, now I've had the chance once, I suppose I've got quite into it. And at the end of the day, if you join the army, you expect to go on operations. I don't want to sit around at Windsor because I just generally don't like England that much.
But of course, you can't trust Meghan and Harry. That's the point. Even if you think you've got a deal, and that I don't believe that is possible, but if you think you have, the palace will be shocked that they will renege immediately because they have no advantage of reconciliation. They've got no advantage of ending their vendetta against the Windsors and against Britain. Their whole financial future is tied up in publishing more revelations, accusations, and all the rest.
Dealing with Harry and Meghan like dealing with teenagers.
Here it is here. Courtiers, intrigue, ambition, and the power players behind the House of Windsor has a lot of people talking. And in a Canadian television exclusive, we're joined from London by the book's author, Valentine Lowe. Valentine, welcome to the morning show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. All right. Valentine, we begin with a bit of a history lesson first. What exactly does a courtier do?
A courtier is like a chief of staff for a member of the royal family, and they do all sorts of things. They very obviously they write their speeches, they advise them on policy, they're their gatekeeper. They control who they get to see. They organize their diary, what official engagements they carry out, and very importantly, they're kind of with them a lot of the time, every day, hours on end. So it's a very, very close relationship. And, the principal, the member of the royal family really depends on the private secretary.
Valentine, we've heard a lot about Angela Kelly, a courtier who worked for the late Queen. She was her closest aide. In his memoir, Harry labeled her as a troublemaker. Can you tell us more about her and why Harry gave her that label?
He gave her that label because I think she was a match for him. She wouldn't take any nonsense from him. And their most significant contretemps was over the tiara that Meghan was going to wear for the wedding. The row wasn't over which tiara to wear. That was all sorted out earlier. They had a meeting with the Queen. Meghan tried on a few tiaras, chose one. That was all lovely. The problem was trying it on, because you can imagine, if you're going to wear a tiara, you've got to have your hair right. So an appointment was made with Meghan's hairdresser, and then she wanted to have the tiara so the hairdresser could, know what to do with her hair. But the problem was she hadn't fixed up with Angela Kelly, and Angela Kelly is the woman with the key. She's in charge of all the jewelry. She's very close to the Queen, and she's not a woman to be messed around with. She comes from a working class background. Her father was a crane driver in the Liverpool docks, and she's a tough one, Angela. Her nickname is AK-47. And the day that Meghan's hairdresser turned up from Paris, I believe, they said, well, we want the tiara now. And no one had told Angela Kelly this, and said, well, I'm not here. And if I'm not here, you can't have the tiara. And Harry was absolutely furious. Apparently, he used some pretty choice language, either at Angela Kelly or about her. And Angela Kelly, I think, might have heard such language before. But anyway, she wasn't impressed. And, one understands that the Queen had to have a word with Harry afterwards.
All right, let's move from the tiara to the dress next, if we could, Valentine, because another tension during the wedding preparations, of course, was this now much talked about dispute between Meghan and Princess Catherine regarding Charlotte's ill-fitting wedding dress. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, this is an incident that's very hard to get to the bottom of. The original version we all heard was that Meghan had made Kate cry. And then Harry says a version that, it was Meghan who cried. He came back and found Meghan on the floor crying over some incident incredibly trivial about, altering the bridesmaids' dresses so they would actually fit. And what I do know is that after this row between the two of them, Kate went round to Nottingham Cottage to Meghan with a bouquet of flowers as a peace gesture, whether it was to say sorry or just to try and, make everything nice. And certainly, according to one of my sources, Meghan shut the door in her face.
All right. That's a little nugget I hadn't heard of yet.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm sure you've heard by now, but we have new merch. Check out my new merch. That is on teespring.com, and I believe it's /Real Housewives Recaps, but I put a link in the description of this video as well. So check it out for everything, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.